What is up, everybody? It's Cobes here, and today I am back with a Fortnite video. In today's video, we are going over every single pickaxe in this game, and we're gonna see how they sound. Certain pickaxes sound really cool, some sound the same as like every other pickaxe in this game, and then some sound completely different, like you'd never expect them to sound the certain way they do, or maybe you just don't realize that they actually have a really cool, unique sound. But we're gonna go through each of my pickaxes. I would say I probably have like maybe 70 pickaxes, about maybe a little bit less, but I have quite a few pickaxes. Tell me which is your favorite. Drop a like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, guys. Let's get into it. So I think this one sounds exactly how I thought it would sound. I don't think it's my favorite, but I really do like this pickaxe, and I like when, you know, it actually sounds like what you would imagine it to sound like, and I think this one works out in that way. But let's move on to Bite Mark. So you might be wondering why there's like this wind sound each time you swing it. Well, the mouth opens up, so I'm assuming that's where that wind sound comes from. It makes sense in game, and I personally like this one. I like using it, I like its design, and I like how it matches up again. There are some that just do not match up with the sound or the look. The sound does not match up with the look, but I would say this one does for sure, and I really like it about it. Moving on to the bottom feeder. So for this one, this is another kind of secret pleasure of mine. I really like it. I love hearing the chain as you swing this pickaxe. It's one of my favorites in this game. I love the sound of it. I love the look of it. And this one, again, matches up. I would say they get a lot of them right with the sounds. They match up a lot of the sounds with the looks, but on some of them they fail. Let's move on to Chomp Jr. So there's this little water sound effect in the background, and that's about it. It's nothing insane, it's nothing crazy. It's not my favorite, but I could see how you might like this one. For me personally, I like one we're gonna move on to in a little bit called the Slurp Juice, or the Party Animal, is it? Yeah, the Party Animal. That one I really like if you're going for more of like a watery sound. Let's move on to Death Valley. I personally really do not like the sound of this one. It's very irritating. I don't really know exactly where that sound is coming from. I don't think a skull makes that sound, so the only thing I can think of is maybe those ropes around the skull. That's what's making that noise. Like they might be rubber bands. I don't know exactly. It's still very irritating to my ears, but that's how Death Valley sounds. That's probably why I don't use it as much. If it sounded different, I might use it a lot. Let's move on to Disco Brawl. So I feel like a lot of people don't know that it makes this sound, but each time you hit something, it makes like a little disco sound, which that's pretty cool to me. I honestly didn't realize it. I don't know everything about each of these cosmetic items in this game, whether it be pickaxes or backbling, whatever it may be, but I don't know if I like this one. It seems like it could be a bit irritating. I'll be honest, I don't really use this pickaxe too much, so you tell me how it sounds in game. Let's move on to the Ava. So nothing really special to me. I think this one is kind of a basic sound, nothing too crazy. If they're going for a more simple pickaxe design, I think this is the sound that is going to be similar to. I don't know. This one is, again, pretty simple. I think once we get to rares and then once we get to uncommons, they get a little bit more simple. I personally don't like this one all that much, the sound of it. It's not very irritating in game. I don't really notice it all that much, but for me right now, just not sounding that great. Let's move on to Pink Flamingo. This one, again, like a lot of other pickaxes on this list or in this video in my locker, it's gonna have a very basic sound, nothing too crazy. Let's move on to the Pick Squeak. For me, this suffers the same fate as Death Valley. Maybe I would use this a little bit more. Maybe I'd use Death Valley more, but the sound is just too annoying. It's too squeaky for me. I personally don't like the sound of Pick Squeak. I really like the sound of Permafrost. It sounds like you're beating a piece of metal or brick with a like ice shaving, a fucking icicle. that really sounds cool, and I think it fits this design perfectly. I really like this one. So one thing I really like about this pickaxe, it sounds very heavy. Can you guys deny that? This is one of the heaviest sounding pickaxes in this game, and I love that about it. It also has like a bunch of slurp juice inside of it, which I think is really cool, and you hear that sloshing around. That's why I like this one so much. It really fits its design. It's heavy. You can hear the wind behind it each time you swing it. And you can also hear that like little amount or big amount of slurp juice inside sloshing around. I think that's really cool. This one is a fairly simple design, fairly simple sound, I would say. It's not my favorite. I really have a deep love for the Onslaught, and I love the sound behind it. I think it's simple, but it's different enough from all these other pickaxes where you can definitely tell the difference. I think this one is pretty annoying, the global axe. I personally do not like it. We're gonna have to move on a little bit quicker from each of these because, you know, I've been taking too long. I'll be honest, I really don't notice the sound when I'm using this pickaxe, but does it sound good? I guess, if you like that kind of sound, but for me personally, I just don't hear it in game, so I can't really judge too much right now. I think it sounds okay. It might get annoying after a while, but to be honest, I don't hear it. I don't think it suffers from the same problem as maybe a Death Valley or Pick Squeak, which I really don't like. You know, I'm not going to sit here and perfectly describe the sound of each of these, but I would say I like the sound. It's not my favorite pickaxe, though. You can definitely hear the electricity with each swing, each time you hit an object, which I think is pretty cool. Overall, fairly simple sound. You can hear the chain as well. It shakes a little bit after each hit, which I think is cool as well. This one is a really badass sound. I like it. It kind of sounds like you're popping a balloon to me. Sounds like you're popping a water balloon, to be honest, but I really like the sound. I would definitely use this pickaxe a little bit more often. I should. I love it. Fairly simple sound, nothing I really have to say about that. Kind of sounds like a staple gun each time it hits something. I love this one. It sounds like a scythe, you know, cutting some grass. If you can imagine that. I don't have the scythe, but I think if I did, this is what it would sound like. Or the Reaper is his proper term, the Halloween pickaxe. This one definitely sounds like it has a sharp blade. Nothing too crazy though. I don't know how I'm getting so good at describing sounds, but it makes sense to me. Maybe it doesn't from your personal experiences, but sounds like if you shot an arrow at something, and you know how the arrow kind of shakes around a little bit? Kind of what it reminds me of. I think this one actually has a pretty cool and unique sound. Its pickaxe can't save it though. This one looks like a light pickaxe. It sounds like a light pickaxe with the amount of wind it creates. It's a very quick swipe, it sounds like, and then a little tink at the end. I like it. I really like this pickaxe. You can hear the chain swinging in the background, kind of like the drift. And I think it's very satisfying, the end noise it makes when it hits something. Fairly simple sound. I really don't know how to describe this one. This one really reminds me of the Excalibur. It's really all I can say about it. The Bat Sickle. This one really reminds me of the Cliffhanger and the Excalibur as well, but I think it should. I mean, the end of that thing, it kind of looks like a scythe to me. It would be on the end of the scythe. It has the same design, at least, the knife part. So I think it makes sense. It sounds like a scythe. If I'm going to use this pickaxe, it's for the sound and the look, and I think it matches up perfectly. There's nothing else it could sound like, but I think they did a really good job with this one. Fairly simple. Almost identical to the Dragon Axe. I don't know if it is though. This one sounds basically the same as these two, just with a little bit more of a quiet touch at the end. I think they could have made this one a lot better. I think at the end it needs to be a little bit louder, a little bit more satisfying, but I told you some of these rares were just going to be pretty basic with the sound. I think they could have made it a little bit more menacing of a sound at the end, because I think it would go really well with the pickaxe. It kind of sounds like each time you hit something, you're firing off a little laser bolt. I think this one's alright. It's pretty cool. I really like the glow stick. This sounds like a lightsaber. Nothing too crazy. You can hear like a little wind being let go at the end of each swing, which I really don't understand, but okay. Nothing too special or crazy. Nothing too crazy there. It's a little bit different, but not really enough for me to talk about too much. This one sounds like you're popping miniature balloons, but I like it. I really do. Now that I have this idea of balloons being popped, I think this one sounds like it as well. It might sound like you're punching maybe like your boxing coach's glove or something, but it's all right. Fairly similar to everything else. I really like the sound of the night owl a lot. The magnifying glass is pretty cool, I would say. Very similar, but I understand why. It's very similar to every other one, like the Dragon Axe, the Empire Axe, the Faded Frame, all these other rare pickaxes. This really reminds me of the AC/DC. Nah, it's a little bit more quiet, I'd say, but it really does remind me of that. I personally think this is one of the coolest sounds in this world. I love this sound, guys. I love this pickaxe for it. Its design isn't the best, I would say, but you know, they tried and they really got the sound good, I think. I really like the sound of this one. It sounds like you're popping massive balloons. Fairly simple. Fairly simple. Fairly simple. You can hear the hoop shaking a little bit in the background. I think that's funny. Fairly simple. Sounds like you're slicing something in half. I don't know exactly what it would be. I really like the sound of this one. It could be good. It could work on something else. I just personally don't like the pickaxe all that much, but I really do like the sound. Sounds like you're either cutting some sort of vegetation or... yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. This one is a lot more dull of a sound than most of these other pickaxes. That's why I kind of like it. It's not abrasive like some of these are, where you can hear them constantly. I personally won't use the Tat Axe because I think it's too loud. And it's pretty distracting when I'm trying to listen for enemies, but I think it does sound cool. A very dull sound, kind of like the tenderizer, but I like that about certain pickaxes. I think it fits its design perfectly. You're swinging a stop sign. I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually the same sound, if these two were the same sound. A lot of these have a similar sound, but this one... each time you hit something, you're letting out a nice little fart. Very simple. A pretty dull sound, sort of like the studded axe and the tenderizer as well. I really like the sound of this one. It's not abrasive, like we said earlier for what, was it the studded axe? I really like the sound for it, but it's a little bit different than all these other ones. It sounds like you're actually swinging a shovel, and I really like that about it. Simple. Fairly similar to the icebreaker. Sounds like you're chopping up some meat. That one, whatever. These have the same sound. You really shouldn't have bought that one in the pickaxe. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. Did you like this video? Did you hate it? I wanted to go over all this different shit because I thought it was interesting to me at least. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later.